Unpopular opinion alert. I don't like big phones, especially when the software isn't really tailored to their size. For this reason, the announcement of the iPhone 12 mini, for me, has been the highlight of the whole iPhone 12 presentation. It was simply an iPhone 12, but smaller, with almost no drawbacks. But for some reason, this amazing phone sold horribly, for Apple standards at least. In this video I'll go over why this happened, and more importantly, what Apple could do to prevent it from happening again. The first reason why I think the iPhone 12 mini failed is because just a few months prior, the second-gen iPhone SE came out. A phone whose main advantages were the price, but also the fact that it was also the smallest iPhone Apple was selling when it came out, since it used the iPhone 8's form factor. So tons of people that preferred smaller phones, that probably would have really liked the iPhone 12 mini, ended up buying the SE instead, simply because it came first. This year though, Apple hasn't released a new iPhone SE, so this shouldn't be an issue this time. The second problem is about marketing. Now, Apple made tons of ads for the iPhone 12 lineup in general, but for the mini, at least as far as I've seen, they only made a 5-second ad that tells you absolutely nothing other than it's as tiny as the commercial you just watched. Of course they made one to celebrate the groundbreaking human achievement of a tennis-flavored phone, but apparently the iPhone 12 mini simply wasn't as deserving of its own specific full-length commercial. And in this case it's particularly strange since they never made smaller versions of their flagships before, so you'd think they would want everyone to know, which is what they did for the iPhone 6 for example, but that simply didn't happen this time. And from personal experience, I can tell you there are so many people that don't even know it exists. For this one, there's a very easy solution. Just advertise the phone, and one thing that's equally as important as how much they advertise it is how they advertise it, because the third problem I think is the name. iPhone 12 mini sounds like it's just the same phone, but a little worse, which is definitely not ideal as it's still priced like a flagship phone. The marketing should emphasize the strengths of a smaller design. That's more portable, it's more usable with one hand, there are advantages. And yeah, I think iPhone 12 mini isn't a great name. Maybe the solution could be to use the same naming system they use for everything else. In this case, they should be named iPhone 13 6.1 inch and iPhone 13 5.4 inch. Yeah, it sounds horribly, I really don't like it, but it may be a solution. The fourth problem was not the battery actually, it's a bit more complex. Yeah, sure. The iPhone 12 mini doesn't really have a spectacular battery life, but I think the issue was made a lot bigger than it actually is, mainly because of what happened in 2020 that forced people to stay more at home. For reference, I've rewatched some reviews of the iPhone XS, and I really haven't seen people complaining that much about the battery life, when, in reality, according to Apple, the XS lasted 1 hour less than the mini. Sure, a better battery wouldn't have hurt, and actually that's something that's rumored to happen this year, but I still think the real reason why the battery was criticized so much is because of you know what. And actually, if you think about it, the advantages of a smaller phone are almost irrelevant in that situation, so why not just buy the bigger phone with a more immersive screen and a bigger battery for just $100 more? So the actual fourth problem was simply very bad timing. Now, just for completeness sake, I want to talk about a worst case scenario of sorts. What if they only made the mini to advertise a starting price of $699 instead of $799? What if they don't actually care about the mini? Well, I think that's not the case. If they really wanted it to not sell anything, they could have made it so much worse. They could have removed MagSafe or 5G, you know, the big new feature for the year. The screen could have had a worse resolution, but no. All those features are still there, and it actually has the highest pixel density of any Apple device ever, and that's something they only did because they wanted the resolution to be objectively higher than 1080p, so they actually cared. They wanted it to sell better than what it did. I absolutely don't expect them to change their plans after watching this video, because we are in August, and everything from the hardware to the marketing has certainly already been finalized by this point, and whether the next iPhone 13 mini will sell decently or flop again, it has pretty much already been decided. Also, honestly, who even am I? And even in the best case scenario, I still think it's not going to sell that much. Again, for Apple standards, it's a niche phone after all. But maybe, if the next iPhone mini sells better, they may decide to continue the line, despite what some leaks are saying. But even in case they decide to only make phones 6.1 inches and bigger, I think there are still some things they could do to make them more usable. I talked about this stuff in this video here. So, do you agree with my analysis of the situation? And also, What do you think of the iPhone mini? Do you think it's a cool phone? Are you planning on buying 100 units so that Apple doesn't get rid of it? Do you despise it with your whole being? Let me know. Ciao!